So, good afternoon, guys. Let's get started with other topics which are left over now. Okay. Now, if you go back and see what all we have covered till now, we have covered all the accounting standards, and then we have finished branch accounts. We have finished, your departmental accounts, and then we have finished company accounts. Almost everything is done except for underwriting, which we will finish off now. Okay. Company accounts is done. And then partnership is done. Partnership is done. With this, I think I'm done with almost everything except for banking, insurance, which I'm supposed to cover. And then I still have, in company accounts, underwriting is yet to be done. And then we have debentures, which is supposed to be completed. Debentures, the amended topic, whatever is there, that is yet to be completed. So we will target these in the next 1-2 days, today and tomorrow, and finish off all this. With that, we will end up this revision session. Okay. So with this intro, let's get going with underwriting topic. Underwriting topic. Okay. I'll first explain what underwriting is, and then we will get into how problems are supposed to be solved in it. Okay. Now, generally, there is X Limited. There is X Limited, which is planning to go for a public issue of its shares. Public issue of its shares. Under Companies Act, if you recollect, we have certain conditions stating whenever a issue is announced, there should be a minimum subscription required to be made. Only then the issue is said to be successful. Otherwise, the issue is not said to be successful. Okay. So to ensure the issue of a public company is successful, what public companies generally do is they go for underwriting of their securities. That means, what does underwriting here mean is, there is somebody, X party, a third party, that is I being the company, there is someone called an investor, there is someone, a mediator in between. I am trying to identify. He would take the responsibility of ensuring various investors invest in your particular shares of my company, and ensure that the subscription is successful. The subscription into this issue is successful. That is, they would ensure that this issue does not go wrong at all. Does not go wrong at all. That's the objective of what an underwriter does. Now, with respect to underwriting, who does this underwriting activity? Predominantly earlier, there used to be someone called as stockbrokers. Stockbrokers who used to do. Of late, what has happened is, even the banks and various financial institutions also. I'll tell you about the rationale behind 90% a little later. Okay. So there are, earlier, underwriters used to be only the stockbrokers in the market. Of late, what happened is there are various financial intermediary agencies. Like you have your institutional purchasers, institutional buyers, institutional advisors. Okay, that is, they help various entities into investing in various portfolios. Okay, there are portfolio management companies. Then there are entities like banks, which have also started taking up this business of rendering underwriting services. Okay, now banks, financial institutions, stockbrokers, all these are someone who are now taking up this activity of underwriting. Now, can everybody do this underwriting activity? Act says, that is your Companies Act. If you observe Companies Act says not everybody can take up this underwriting. Only those banks, financial institutions, portfolio management companies, stockbrokers and all who are registered with SEBI, only can be stockbrokers, only can be your underwriters. Okay. So only those entities can be your underwriting agents. Okay. Now, why would someone take up the responsibility of underwriting your issue? Underwriting your issue, because they will be given some commission on, shares which are going to be underwritten through them, shares which are underwritten to them. Now, what is the commission which is supposed to be given? What is the commission to be given? SEBI says the commission which is supposed to be paid to underwriters is dependent on kind of instrument which is being underwritten through them, kind of instrument which they are selling to outside parties. Okay. Now, your commission is dependent on types of instrument. Instruments are broadly categorized into two. First one is called as equity. Second is called as preference shares and debentures also. With respect to equity shares, the amount of underwriting commission which is supposed to be given is a maximum of 2.5%. A maximum of 2.5%. However, when it comes to preference shares, you have a slab rating here. Whereas if the preference shares, your allotment, the amount of preference shares subscribed, the value of preference shares or debentures subscribed is up to 5 lakhs. If it is up to 5 lakhs, the percentage of commission is going to be 1.5%. 1.5%. And anything above 5 lakhs, the amount of commission is going to be 1%. This is the underwriting commission which will be given. Now, I have a question. When I say 2.5% commission or 1.5% on up to 5 lakhs of application of preference shares or debentures, or 1% above 5 lakhs, should I consider the value on issue price? Should I consider it on issue price, or should I consider the percentage of commission on face value? Face value is the question. That means, for example, equity shares of 10 rupees are being issued, are being sold by me, and the issue price is 10 rupees, share is being sold for 25 rupees. 25 rupees. Then issue price is going to be 25 rupees and face value is going to be 10 rupees. Yes or no? What your Companies Act states in the SEBI mentioned specifically is any commission on underwriters on underwriting is generally paid on the issue price, because that is the money what they have created for you. That is the money what they have raised for your sake. Yes or no? So it is always on the issue price, but not on the face value of the instrument where the commission is calculated. Okay. So always the values are going to be on issue price, but not okay, but not on face value of the share or whatever it be the case. Okay. Now, how do we calculate underwriting commission? Now, I will first give you the structure as to how it is done. Okay. Then we will understand in deep each of those individual aspects in the structure. Okay. So now your statement of calculating underwriting commission will be done for various underwriters of a particular issue at a time. Okay. Say for example, Say for example, you have 3 underwriters. If you have 3 underwriters, start with a particulars column and 3 amount columns. That is underwriter 1, 2 and 3 columns. I am assuming that I have 3 underwriters. I have 3 underwriters. Okay. Now first, what you're supposed to take is gross liability. What does gross liability mean? The maximum amount, the maximum number of shares what the underwriters have accepted to get sold. Okay, maximum number of shares or securities which the underwriters have accepted to get sold is the gross liability. Okay, so this is generally mentioned in the agreement. Okay, so it is as per agreement. As per agreement, you would get some values here. Okay, you would get some values. Out of this, you are supposed to deduct if there is any firm liability, firm underwriting liability. What does firm underwriting liability means? For example, I am the company. I have to get 1 lakh shares sold in the open market. Out of 1 lakh shares, there is A who has come to me and said that 1 lakh, I don't know, 30 lakhs is the maximum I'll try to sell, is what he has accepted. That means 30 lakhs is gross liability for him. Okay, gross liability is 30 lakhs. And out of that, he told that irrespective of whether 30,000 gets sold in the open market or not, out of 1 lakh, 30,000 is what he has accepted. Out of 30,000, he does not know whether he will be able to sell that entire 30,000 in the open market or not. Okay, hence what he has stated is 30,000 is what I am taking as gross liability. Out of this 30,000, I am promising you that I will purchase, guarantee this is out of 30,000, 10,000 shares I will purchase. Okay, that means there is a firm underwriting which is being done. Firm underwriting means this is something which will definitely happen. This is something which will definitely happen. Then you call it as firm underwriting or firm liability. Okay, so like this firm underwriting would be there for all the underwriters. You will enter into such firm underwriting for all the underwriters. Okay, now this firm underwriting is also something which is done as per the agreement only. As per agreement. Okay, once this is done, you would deduct something called as marked applications. Okay, less marked applications. Now what is this concept of marking? Fairly speaking, after electronification of IPOs and all, this concept has lost its charm. Okay, marked application means earlier what used to happen, I'll tell you first. Earlier what used to happen is say this is the IPO form. Okay, physical forms, when physical forms were in existence, this is the IPO physical form which we have. Okay, on the form I would give, say 30,000 applications are asked by underwriter 1. These 30,000 form, company will give him 30,000 forms. Okay, on giving 30,000 forms, these forms will be given by this underwriter to various individuals who would like to apply for that company's share. Okay, now after giving the application to company's share, the applicant may come back to the underwriter to submit to the company, or the applicant may directly submit the application to company. Yes or no? Now, if the application comes through the underwriter, there is no problem, because underwriter will have control over how many shares he is going to submit with the company. But with respect to physical forms which the applicant is directly submitting to company without reaching through the underwriter, in such case underwriter will not get to know. Yes or no? So to avoid that conflict, immediately when the underwriter receives the application forms, he would stamp his own mark on it, stating that some mark would be there, which he would mention that, yes, this is my mark. This is my mark. That is what I call as marked application. Now, I am trying to detect the marked applications out of all the underwriters, from the all underwriters liability. Okay. So by doing that, what I get to know is how many shares got sold through this underwriter is what I'm getting to know. Okay. So marked applications is something which we deduct at this juncture. Okay. Marked applications when you deduct. Okay. Now there would be some number of unmarked applications. Okay. Less unmarked applications. That means they may be sold through by the company directly, or some other sources who are not underwriters. Okay. Like a stamp of Rajamouli, it seems. Okay. SS Rajamouli. Yeah. Okay. So unmarked applications, whatever unmarked applications are there, they are supposed to be distributed between these underwriters in the ratio of their gross liability. Okay. It is going to be in the ratio of their gross liability. Okay. You deduct it in the ratio of their gross liability. Right. By doing this, what I finally end up is, I get to know okay, I get to know what is the surplus or shortfall. Okay. If I get a negative balance, then it is considered as surplus. If I have a positive item, then it is considered as shortfall. Okay. Now, say for example, underwriter 1 has got negative. That means out of the shares which are given to him, share applications which are given to him, he has oversold. Okay. So whatever is oversold here, this would be distributed between second underwriter and third underwriter based on their relative gross liability. Okay. That means this will be distributed to 2 and 3 on their relative gross liability. So it is called as transfer of surplus from one underwriter to others in the ratio of relative gross liability. Okay. So that means you would add it here. That is, it is nullified in first underwriter column, and in second underwriter column you are deducting it, and third underwriter column also you are deducting. Now, in what ratio are you doing it? On 2 and 3's relative gross obligation. Okay. For example, A's gross obligation is 40, B's obligation is 30, or else take 30 and 40. Okay. Now, the formula in which you will transfer for 2 is going to be X number of shares into 30 divided by 70. Okay. For third underwriter, it's going to be X number of shares into 40 divided by 70. What is 70? It is nothing but 30 plus 40. 30 plus 40 is 70. Okay. So this is how you do. In case you have any surplus in one of the underwriters column, it is transferred to other underwriters. Okay. So by doing this, what you finally end up is net shortfall. Net shortfall in public subscription. Public subscription. Okay. So public subscription, you get to know what is the net shortfall. Why is it public subscription? Because I have already deducted my firm underwriting in the beginning itself. Okay. Hence, out of once I deduct firm underwriting, the others are something which are supposed to be subscribed by public. Out of public, I got to know how much is supposed to be subscribed by them. Okay, how much is supposed to be subscribed by them. Now once this is done, here you would add back, okay, add firm underwriting. Firm underwriting would be added back. By adding this, what you get to know is the total number of shares to be subscribed by each of these underwriters, because I know you are going to satisfy firm underwriting guaranteely. Apart from that, whatever shortfall is there, to that extent also he has to accept. Okay, so subscription by underwriter shall be all these three. Okay, so this is how we calculate the underwriter's number of shares which I am supposed to subscribe by underwriter. Okay, now once this is done, the next step is called as accounting, is for accounting. Now journals, if you observe, journal entries to be passed, I'll write down numbers for this: 1 2 3 4. Okay, so shortfall is 5, transfer is 6, this is 7, this is 8, firm underwriting addition is 8, and 9 is final subscription by underwriter. Okay, so these are the numbers which I'm giving, so that I'll take those numbers there so that it will be easy for us. Okay, so journal entries, first you are supposed to receive application money from public, yes or no? Okay, number 1, receive application money from public. What would be the entry for this? Bank account debit to share application money. Okay, what is the value I will take? Now if you keenly observe, I have got money from public. From 2 places. What are those 2 places? Through marked applications and unmarked applications. Okay, so the amount is going to be 3 plus 4 columns, 3 plus 4 items. Okay, items from 3 and 4. On these you will take application money. Okay, then second, number 2, apart from application money from open public, I also should take application money from underwriters, yes or no? So receive application money from underwriters. Entry is going to be same entry, bank account debit to share application money. Amount is going to be from, now look at here, from where will I get application money from underwriters? It is 9th point. Here it is from underwriters. Okay, so it is going to be from 9th item. You are going to take money here. Okay, next, number 3, allotment entry, you know, that is share application money to share capital to securities premium. Okay, share capital and securities premium, amounts are going to be both of these together. You will transfer it to equity shares. Okay, and securities premium. Next, number 4. Now comes underwriters commission. Okay, underwriters commission, you have 2 parts: A, due entry; B, payment entry. Okay, now while you calculate underwriters commission, you will be calculating on the full gross liability which you have agreed to give. Okay, so to whatever he has subscribed, for the entire amount you are going to do. Okay, so what would be the due entry? Now underwriter commission is basically an expense for you. Okay. So hence you will be debiting it. Underwriter commission account debit to underwriter 1, underwriter 2, underwriter 3. Okay. Payment entry would be underwriter 1 account debit, 2 account debit, 3 account debit to bank. To bank. Okay. So these are the entries which we pass to record for underwriting, in total. Okay. So with this, we are done with all the steps, theory notes with respect to underwriting. So let us solve a problem and close this off. Okay. So let us take up the problems, guys. I'm sharing it on the screen here. Please see. Okay. We'll first read out each of these questions and then do it. Okay. The first question, please read. ABC Limited came up with public issue of 3 lakh equity shares of 10 each at 15 rupees per share. PQR took underwriting of the issue in the ratio of 3:2:1 with the provision of firm underwriting of 20,000, 14,000 and 10,000 shares respectively. The applications were received for 2,40,000 shares excluding firm underwriting. The marked applications from public were received as under. Okay. P limit P 60,000, Q 50,000, R 60,000. Compute the liability of each underwriter as regards the number of shares to be taken up, assuming that the benefit of firm underwriting is not given to individual underwriters. Okay. So market special. I'll tell you what this is a little later. Okay. I'll first do it and then explain you what it is, because I have picked up both the models. First model is assuming benefit of underwriting is not given. Second, benefit of underwriting is given. Okay. So both I have taken it, and we will solve both the models of questions in this. Okay. So let me start with the question solution. Okay.